So,
Awesome.
YouTube ads. Let's
Okay.
go in, mate.
All right.
So, I'll start off with a bit of context.
Okay.
On the high level, the theoretical level, the meta level, as people say, YouTube is one of I guess, the second biggest search engine in the world. It's obviously one of the most used websites in the world. They make their revenue from advertising, and people like us run YouTube ads because it's part of the Google platform. Now, a lot of people are amazing at Google ads. Some of them sometimes are not good at shopping ads because it's a bit different. YouTube ads is extremely different, even though it's in the same platform. People's skill set is just not there. So,
Hmm.
I want to chat about a few strategies around YouTube ads based on if you're doing retargeting or prospecting or cold traffic, and what type of industry, if you're doing it for lead generation, e commerce, or even like information products. A lot of content out there in the YouTube space is created by information marketers or info courses promoting info courses. So there's not really much out there talking about YouTube ads for either e-commerce or YouTube ads for lead generation for a service-based business. It's usually like, here's how to run YouTube ads for an info product, or here's how I used YouTube ads to make $1 million selling a course, which is
Yeah.
good if you're selling courses, but most of the clients that everyone works with will be e-commerce or lead generation, not info products. So that is where we start off, Corey. What are your
Hmm.
thoughts, mate?
It's funny enough too. When I run into YouTube ads, or I'm looking for advice on YouTube ads, I should say, in the consulting world, it tends to be on the lead generation side. There's a lot of interest in that because they're trying to. They feel limited where it's all search, and
Yeah.
search is okay, or maybe it's going terribly, but we know we need to expand our results, or we're looking for more creative ways to utilize Google Ads to get this type of awareness. And when I hear awareness, I'm a lot more psyched for them about the potential usage of YouTube. Whereas if I hear, man, we really want to increase conversions
Yeah.
or conversion value, whatever, I'm like a little more hesitant at their chances of it going well. Michael, do you want to kind of dig into that a little bit more?
I couldn't agree more. That's, as we always talk about, is expectation management. I've been seeing this more and more and more recently. We've got clients spending up to $100,000 a month on YouTube ads. And one of the biggest issues or challenges is managing the expectation that, hey, this is not going to get you sales. This is going to get you awareness, relevant traffic, and that's where it comes to, well, what's the objective? If like you're using this to try and get people to purchase stuff, man, it's going to be hard from cold traffic. But if you try to get them to maybe download a brochure or sign up for a webinar or give some sort of really low commitment offer or action or conversion point that they get something and you get their information, that's where it works. But as you're saying, Corey, like for awareness, it's outstanding. It really is. And you can really start to fill up those retargeting audiences and building out your funnel. But thinking you can just be like, do a mass market channel that's like a top of funnel strategy and get like bottom of funnel results, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I think that that's really the first point, is setting the expectation. YouTube ads is primarily not there to get you conversions.
Right. Yeah, look, it goes back to our conversations about the difference in how the algorithms may or may not work for, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever, versus something like Google ads or Microsoft ads, right? The intent is different. Someone's actively on Google in their conscious mind looking for something either related to what you sell, or they're looking for exactly for what you
Mm.
sell. When they're on Facebook scrolling, or they're on Instagram scrolling or whatever, they're not in that consciously active looking state. They're just sort of browsing, right? They're just mindlessly scrolling. They're doom scrolling, as some people jokingly say, right?
Yeah.
They want to just zone out for a little bit. That's a different facets of the brain that are being activated there, and so those signals are different. Well, guess what, folks? Your advertising needs to also be tailored around that, right? We don't want to try to approach YouTube ads with the same mentality as search or shopping ads. They're just fundamentally different targeting methods and signals that Google's going to be utilizing, right? There is going to be some exceptions in like the way that you target audiences. For example, if you go after channels, which is a really great best practice, like relevant channels, that gives you some idea that there's some intent there, right? The person is already interested in that type of content. And they're going specifically to a channel, or they've already interacted and engaged with a channel that offers or talks about something that's very relevant to your brand. Okay, so those are maybe the exceptions to the rule, but in most cases, you're going to be doing a lot of billboards, essentially digital billboards, when someone's in that unconscious, mindless state and they're engaging with some kind of content, whether that is educational, which is very popular or common, or if there's just, sort of junk food TV videos, right, where we're just laughing or sharing a video with somebody. When you're hitting someone with, I don't know, uh, let's say a home furnishings ad, and they're watching prank videos, is it really going to be relevant? Do you expect a lot of good quality engagement there? Probably not. So anyway, that's going to get more into the best practices later, but I think that's really relevant, is just to make that point that, look, you want to approach this similar to if you've ever done Facebook ads or you've learned anything about social media advertising, you're going to want to apply a lot of the same concepts to YouTube ads. And I think this is, to Michael's point, part of what gets lost as a Google advertiser, as a paid search expert, is there's this disconnect where they really don't want to go down the rabbit hole of YouTube ads because they feel like it's a whole different practice of marketing. Has that been your experience as well?
Yeah, I still think it is. It is a very different practice. And I think people should be cautious. Treat YouTube ads like it's a different platform. Treat it like the difference between Google ads and Facebook ads. Because YouTube ads is just because it's in the Google ads platform. It is not Google ads. It is not even similar to Google ads. It's fundamentally, as you're saying, it's a very different product. It's a very different psychology and all those psychographic things you're going after. It's hard. It's actually really hard. Like retargeting, everyone's like, oh yeah, just do this. It's easy. And when you go, oh, it's easy, they're just running retargeting. When you go into that cold ocean out there, man, it is like one of the biggest ad channels in the world for that.
Yeah.
But man, you can drown really fast and your money can go really fast. And there's all these settings and all these things that Google will just, you can spend a lot of money really fast because there is a lot of people watching. So you've got to be really cautious of your settings and the setup and who you're targeting and what ads you're showing and what ad budget distribution you're giving and how many ads you run. It is wild. And I still don't have the algorithm in my mind of what works. Usually I just say to clients, look, we've just got to, I hate saying this, we've just got to really just test and see what works for your data. But I've got a lot of best practices that I do. I actually released a video on it on my channel, which is just about the different stages of YouTube ads and how many ads you should be running for different budgets, from $5K a month or $1,000 a month up to $100,000 plus, because at every stage you've got to change the strategy. People just think they can scale it, but it's no ad channel is just you turn up more budget and it scales. You've got to have different structures and different audiences. And at the start, you may only need one audience with 2 ads. But as you grow, you may need 15, 50 audiences with 5 ads in them. It's just, but that's why I wanted to chat about this today. It's just about the complexity of it and, people who feel overwhelmed by YouTube ads and how do I do it properly, to make them feel no one's a master of this yet. I'm yet to see someone who I'm that is the YouTube ads master. And they've done it consistently across a lot of e-commerce and lead generation businesses. Not information courses, not for gurus, but for actual real businesses using cold traffic, not retargeting traffic.
Right, beyond remarketing. Yep, super important point. Yeah, I think one big thing is just you got to temper your expectations with something like this. I think if you're a business owner doing this yourself and you've done Google Ads for a while, or you're a paid search specialist and you're used to getting results using clear intent signals via search terms, whatever, then you move to YouTube ads as an expansion opportunity for the account. And you run into this huge wall you didn't expect, which is wait, where is all the intent signals? This is a lot different. And it is. Yeah. So therefore, you cannot expect anywhere near the quickness of conversion data that you have come to expect with search or shopping. And you're not going to have those same experiences with being really clear. Okay, this seems to be more commercial intent. Let's try to optimize more towards this or whatever. You're going to try to look for patterns in terms of conversion rates and things like that as always, but don't expect them to come as quickly, those learnings and those insights to come nearly as quick as what you're used to with search and shopping.
Yeah. A big thing, as you're saying that is like I'm getting on like this huge download of all like the the real stuff that goes behind the scenes of YouTube ads. And it's, there are a few elements you've got to really consider is number one, structure and settings, which is just like how are you setting up campaigns? Like, are you doing a retargeting campaign and then like a prospecting campaign? Or like a lot of people, do you throw it in all together? Or when you throw in the audiences, are you mixing the audiences into ad groups, like one ad group, or are you splitting them out? And then that's the structure. And then like the next one is like the creative, like how many creative you got to run. You got a one video for like 15 seconds, five videos like at a different variation, or five different cuts and like at different lengths. It's like you've got the different types of videos and then you got the different lengths, and it's like, well, you got to be testing lengths and also different creative. And then the other thing is, this is very similar to Facebook. So if anyone's watching this who does Facebook ads, you'll know this. You might run 5, 10 ads in an ad set, and 80% of the traffic and impressions go to one ad, because Facebook's algorithm will go, oh, this had one conversion, let's spend more money on this. And then those 9 other ads get the next 20%. It's the same with YouTube, by the way. So this is the big issue with YouTube, is a lot of people just go throw a lot of ads in. One ad goes well and then it dips off, but then all the other ads haven't had a chance to run, but the algorithm's still pushing that one ad. So when you've got all these different ads, these different campaign and ad group setups, and the algorithm running, it's really easy to lose control over it. That's why when with YouTube ads, I always recommend, and with actually Facebook ads now, minimal and simple starts. So 1 or 2 campaigns, maybe with like 4 to 5 different audiences, maybe with 2 different variations of ads. That way, if you're running more ads, you're not going to actually get a clear picture on what works. And even if it does work and you've got heaps of ads, you're not going to know, oh, was it the audience? Was it the campaign? Was it the settings? Was it the ad? Because you can only optimize what you actually have your mind across. And if there are too many variations or variables, you're not going to be across it. So that's just what came through my mind just then, Corey.
All right. Couple of best practices.
Yeah. A couple of best practices. Because
I love it.
I would just say to people, start simple. Start simple. Really simple. Really simple. Stupidly simple.
Yeah, I think it's a really valid point, right? I mean, a lot of people come at this and they're really lost at all the options, and the options are new to them and they don't know where to start. And so they never get started. They never even try, right? So I think that's maybe where part of where your thought process is coming from, is like, just at least get started with something simple when you want to expand beyond remarketing. What assets have been working from a remarketing standpoint? Maybe start with those, right? Again, start simple. You don't have to maybe recreate the wheel. What are we seeing in terms of placements that are doing well from a remarketing standpoint? Maybe we try to go after those a little more aggressively to start. What do we see across search, shopping, etc., and Facebook? Again, people always forget, look at what's working on Facebook. If you've been running it, what have you learned there that we can apply to YouTube ads? It's not one-to-one like we talked about, but there's still going to be stuff in historic data points that are somewhat relevant, that are applicable and transferable to what you want to do in YouTube ads. So yeah, I really like that advice of starting simple. Yeah, I just want to maybe round it out with my biggest piece of advice for people, because I think when they get lost in the weeds of this stuff, they see all the different settings, the different bid strategy they're not used to, whatever. And also sticking with the point of keeping it simple. Guys, I cannot give you a better piece of advice around YouTube ads. And honestly, I'm not a Facebook advertiser guy, but I used to do it. And I talk to people who do this all the time. And it tends to be understand your audience. I know that's a cliche, but in YouTube ads, it is so crucial that you understand your core audience. Because if you don't have that, when you're trying to follow the best practices that are out there for YouTube ads, Facebook ads, right? Compelling hooks, like including your brand inside of that, and making sure that that's a relevant introduction, and aligning those ads and the creatives with user intent and telling a story. How do you know what's a compelling hook if you don't know the users you're talking to? How do you know what story to craft or what's going to be relevant for that audience if you don't know who the audience is you're targeting? If you just create messaging that, it's for everybody, yeah, it's the best we could do you really think from a cold targeting standpoint that's going to do well? Probably not. So guys, cannot give you more like better advice in the YouTube ad space and probably Facebook ads than to really know your what we call customer cohorts. If you have historical data, analyze that data to figure out who are our core avatars. There's a lot of different ways people like to refer to these, but your groups of customers or core audiences who are likely or have already bought your products or services in the past, go after and craft messaging that is specific to those core audiences and maybe consider structuring your campaigns accordingly. So that should get you started, but really, really vital for success here.
Yeah. As you're saying that, I just had more mental downloads about like other things where people go, and you've got to consider your industry, e-commerce, lead generation, or information products. You've got to also consider where you're targeting. Is it nationwide, just state, or is it local? Because that will influence it. You've got to, once again, consider what your outcome is. Is it the conversions or driving awareness? As you've mentioned just then, who are you targeting? And then making sure everything's aligned with that. You've got to consider how many video creatives you have. Are they up to scratch? Are they good? And most importantly, what metrics do you look at? Now, I don't like conscious of time, we'll wrap this one up, but the metrics is another thing where it's like, if it's not so focused on outcomes of conversions, which we mentioned at the start, what metrics do you look at to know if it works? And I'm going to leave it there because you've got to figure it out. That's the $1 million secret, because I'm spending millions of on ads on YouTube. I'm not going to give you that secret. I will next time.
But I'll give you a hint. Start with conversions and work your way back from there.
Yeah, always start with conversions. But then if there are conversions, which there won't be, there's other numbers to look at. And Corey, let's jump to our next segment. We've got